What's going on, everybody? It's Charles. I found a cool little trick on the Golf R so that you can use the 12-volt outlets with the key on or with the key off. On the older VWs, the 12-volt outlet would work whether the key was on or the key was off. On these newer generation ones, they only work with the key on. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to switch one tiny thing so that it'll work with the key on or the key off. I should also note that the USB charger in the center console of the Golf does work with the key off, but this is a cool little trick to make them all work with the key off. Now we're going to be talking about two different ways to power these 12-volt outlets: battery power and ignition power. And the way I'm going to refer to them is battery power is 30 power. 30 power means there's power all the time as long as the battery is hooked up. 15 power is ignition switch on. So whether you have the ignition switched on or the car is running, that's going to be our 15 power. First thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to gain access to the fuse panel under the dash. This is our SC fuse panel. If we pull the little tray open, squeeze it really tight and pull it down, and then away, we can remove it. There are two tabs, one on each side, that you have to squeeze in. They basically function like little latches to hold that tray so it doesn't fall out every time you open it. Once we have that tray out of the way, now we can see our fuse panel. This is our SC fuse panel. SA and SB are under the hood. SC is underneath or behind the dash. If we look towards the bottom right of that fuse panel, we will see one fuse that, if you looked at a million VW fuse panels, stands out like a sore thumb. We'll see one that's sort of offset. On my fuse panel, I have a blank space, then a 30 amp fuse next to it, then a 20 amp fuse that is not lined up with the 30 amp fuse, an open space, and a 40 amp fuse. This 20 amp fuse that's offset is the one that we're going to be focusing on. This is fuse SC40. When we remove that 20 amp fuse, we see that there are actually 3 pins that are kind of all lined up. Our top pin is actually part of a power bridge that would power all the fuses in that little section. That's a 30 power bridge, so that bridge would always have power all the time as long as the battery is hooked up. Our middle pin is the wire that actually goes out to our 12-volt outlet. The pin right below that is a 15 power pin, so that pin only gets power when our ignition is turned on. This is cool because all we need to do is take that 20 amp fuse out, move it up one location, and now we have those outlets functioning all the time as long as the battery's hooked up. And that's it. That's all we have to do in order to get our 12-volt outlets to work with our key on or off. Now, my initial question was, what happens if you leave something plugged in? Will the car shut power down to this fuse, or are you going to kill your battery? I actually couldn't prove that out one way or another. Based on the wiring diagram, there is nothing that should be able to shut power off to that fuse. It should have power all the time, no matter what. However, there may be something with, say, the battery monitoring module or something like that, that would shut power down if it saw the battery voltage below a certain threshold. However, even though that may possibly, maybe be the case, I, of course, would not rely on that to kill power to my 12-volt outlet if the battery was getting low. Once you've decided 15 power or 30 power, go ahead and just snap your tray back in, clip it in at the bottom, and then swing it up as if you were closing it, and that is all you need to do. Another question that's going to come up is, hey Charles, does this apply to my car? That is a great question. I have a 2019 Golf R. It works on my car. This should work on any MQB car. So you're talking like 15 to 19 Golf, Golf Wagon, all the models of the Atlas as of right now, 2018 and newer Tiguan, all should have this same fuse panel, and you should have that option. It works in the Audi A3. It should work in the Audi TT, but the TT is a little goofy, so you'll have to double check and make sure you have this same kind of fuse setup. I also checked, and in the newest model Jetta, it does show this as well. The wiring diagram is a little different, but it does show the option of moving the fuse for 15 or 30 power. There may be other VW Audi cars. There may be cars around the world, Skoda, Seat, that also have this setup. The easiest thing to do is just gain access to your SC fuse panel in the driver's side under the dash and see if you have that fuse set up. All the cars that I looked up, the Jetta, the Tiguan, the Atlas, and the Golf, have all been in that fuse 40 pin location. Could not really be any easier to make this little cool, free modification to your Golf. Again, be responsible with having crazy things plugged into it. Don't try and power your refrigerator through that outlet. It'd probably blow the fuse anyway, but you guys know what I mean. You got to be responsible. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I got a whole other playlist of golf videos if you want to check that out. Also, if you have one of these cars and you have confirmed that this does work in your car, do me a favor, drop that down in the comments. Let's know the year, make, model of your vehicle, VW, Audi, Skoda, Seat, around the world. Let us know what you got and whether this little trick worked or not.